Morning, guys. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week and through Valentine's Day. Congratulations. It's a big deal. It's easy to feel sometimes, I don't know about you, but it's easy for me to feel, you get to the end of the week and you're like, what did I accomplish? Like, what actually happened this week? And I think actually the news cycle is pretty interesting this week because you see that a few stories really dramatically changed. We started this week talking about a measles outbreak in Washington State, but one of the things you should know is I checked yesterday, and the number of measles cases has stabilized there at 53. So they haven't seen new cases, and they've actually eliminated a whole bunch of public spaces from potential areas of contagion. So that's sort of interesting. This was a big story. There's a lot going on about vaccines, to vaccinate, not to vaccinate. I don't know if you guys saw this story about social media and the way that both groups are using social media. I'm taking a closer look at that story. But just in general, the facts themselves presented by the health department show that the measles outbreak has, at least in Washington State, sort of streamlined, if you will, stabilized. I'll use that word. The other thing, we started this week not knowing if we were going to have some sort of a funding deal when it came to border security. And now we do have it, at least from the House and the Senate. Just want to be cautious. It's 7:30 in the morning. Unless the president just signed the bill, he hasn't done it yet, but when you're watching later today, he might have already. He has actually technically a few days to do it, even though funding runs out officially midnight tonight, the partial government funding that we covered over the last couple weeks to just get us to this point. What's going to be interesting to watch is this. The president's press secretary did say, yes, the president's going to sign the bill, but he's also going to declare a national emergency and use those funds to continue building at the border. Because he hasn't done it yet, I just want to proceed with caution. Everyone's like, well, it's a done deal, but let's just see what he does. The reason why I want to pay close attention to it is this. Every president since over the last several decades, since the mid-1970s, when it became possible for a president to declare a national emergency, has done so. And the reason is it takes a while for Congress to approve things. So they need to be able to do it fast if they need it. We can see it sometimes with natural disasters. But in order for them to do it, they just can't say it's an emergency. They have to use existing law. So it'll be interesting when the president does this, the legal argument he puts forward to say, this is why I can do it. It would be undoubtedly challenged right away, and there's no way of knowing how long that legal challenge would last and how that would affect funds that would actually be used at the border. So just watch it. If you see news cross this weekend, watch for that. Just what is the precise argument that the White House is making about why the president has the power to do this? So just a little tip there. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we have some fun news on the website to kind of close out your Friday. Fun news and sort of scary, dark news, but like in a sort of fun, intriguing way. I don't dance in the dark very often, you guys, when it comes to our content, but I am today because we had a big case this week. Again, look at where we started. We started with El Chapo, Joaquin Guzman, the head of the Sinaloa drug cartel, facing a verdict in New York City in the federal courts there. He was found guilty this week. Highly expect he's going to have a life sentence, put away forever. But where is he going to go? Turns out that he's likely to go to this place, abbreviated as ADX, I believe, if I had the right. It's the Alcatraz in the Rockies. It's in the middle of Colorado. 400 male inmates only. So if you're getting in an argument with your husband about who's, more reliable gender, I think you can point to, the highest security prison in the United States only having men. Just saying. Folks that are there are the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, the Boston Marathon bomber, Johar Tsarnaev, Zacarias Moussaoui, one of the conspirators for 9/11, bad dudes, okay? And they're put in cells where sometimes no one talks to them for days. They have a little slat in the window of their cell that allows some daylight, but the reason why they don't have a big view is that the prison doesn't want them to know where they are in the prison, because you never know if they could escape. In the past, El Chapo has escaped from prison twice in Mexico, and with some pretty unbelievable escapes. So that's a concern, you think, well, it couldn't happen here, but maybe it could. And so we took a look at the prison and what, what is that all about? Where do the worst of the worst go? This is where they go. And finally today, I'll keep this short for you. There's a big conversation, by the way, happening in my kitchen about stocks. Stocks with my toddler. It's a good conversation. Daddy's home this morning. We should listen. I don't know about you, but I could always use a little bit of a refresher. But one of the things that happened today in history is Susan B. Anthony was born. She was born into a Quaker family, and I always forget this fact. She died many years before the right to vote was given to women. And I think it's easy to forget that because here she appears on the coin. She's the first woman to appear on a coin in America. Is it the Susan B. Anthony silver dollar? It's not the silver dollar. Leif, is it the silver dollar? Susan B. Anthony? I forget.
I think so.
I forget. It's on the website. This is where my brain is at this morning. But we used to collect coins when we were little kids, and way back when you actually needed a currency, not like now where my kids are going to collect credit cards. But it is the silver dollar, right? Yeah. So she's the first one to appear, and we associate her with the right to vote, but the truth is she never got to see it. But she spent her entire life really believing in equality across genders and across race, and what a fascinating woman. And what an interesting week that this week is shared. I don't know if any of you were born this week, but it seems like a lucky week.
It's $1 coin.
It's $1 coin. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for Leif Babin, my husband, as a fact checker this morning for our Coffee Talk video. But it is interesting this week. It's not silver. You know what? They had to knock her some way. It couldn't be the silver one.
Copper, 3/4 nickel.
3/4 copper, 3/4 nickel. Maybe we can get an anniversary versions of that sent out. I was upgrading her. This week is a good week because Abraham Lincoln was born, Susan B. Anthony was born. I'm like, who else? Who else is out there? It was a pretty lucky week. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for your support of SmartHER News. One of the things I'm going to put as a link on our website and also through social media is an incredible video that thanks Gary Sinise. This has gone a little bit viral, so you might have already seen it, but if you haven't, I just want to show it to you. Gary Sinise played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump in the mid-1990s, and it was a pretty intense role. He played a Vietnam vet who was gravely injured and struggled. And since that time, he's dedicated his life to helping veterans and also first responders, and he's done incredible things. And those folks are not always thanked by Hollywood. They're a little bit on the outside. And Hollywood got together, Jay Leno, Ron Howard, a bunch of different actors, many different first responders. Our friend, Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, quadruple amputee, got together in a 3-minute video to thank him. And it's a pretty cool video. So if you want to kind of sail into your weekend with a little momentum, I would watch that video. I'll make sure that I post it right after this coffee talk is done. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Hopefully it's a long one for you. I'll put out a little something about President's Day and how it all came together. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, we just do a quick review of the news, sometimes include some articles about SmartHER News that have been published. We have had a few recently, so getting some attention, which is really exciting. So if you haven't done that, great way to just kind of have something to read over the weekend quickly over coffee, because I miss you over the weekend. But I'm sure you need a break from me, so it's good. It's good. We need to miss each other. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Another big week for us because next week is the 1-year anniversary of SmartHER News. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon.